Welcome to this video, part 13 of the pre-World Championship match series, presenting games of the two players. And it's again turn of the world champion to have a game presented. And I'm going back to the 2010 World Championship match. Anand played Anand-Topalov in Sofia, so in Topalov's home country, and I'm not sure he's from Sofia. It's not his home city, I think, but he really played right there in the Challengers country. And yeah, as we know, of course, Anand defended the title in the end after Topalov basically committed suicide in the final game. He was so eager to avoid the rapid playoffs that he played just far too risky, and Anand just won this with the black pieces. Funnily enough, with the Lasker variation of the Queen's Gambit declined, which is not exactly having a reputation to win games. But this game I won't show, mostly because it simply features suicidal play by the challenger in this match. Anand did a good job to punish that, but still. I'm going back to game 4, the beginning of the match. At the time, the match situation was even. Anand had lost the first game after Topalov won a completely prepared game in game 1. In the Grunfeld, he had prepared the whole game till the end, basically, and Anand stumbled right into it, confusing two lines. And the second game, Anand won nicely in a technical game, where he initiated an early queen trade. And in the fourth game, we saw, just like in the second game, a Catalan. Yeah, bit of a surprise that the Catalan was one of the main openings being discussed in this match. Anand played d4 in this match, and he also played, I think, c4 in one game. So we had mostly closed openings, as Topalov also was not playing 1e4. So somehow it's been a while that we saw 1e4 in World Championship chess. I mean, Anand Gelfand, obviously. Yeah, Anand played some e4 in this match, but not exclusively. So let's see what happens here. Topalov took on c4, his preferred choice. Bishop g2, and now move bishop b4 check. Here in this position on move 5, black has many moves. Really, it's a big choice. The main moves are probably knight c6 and c5. In the second match game, if I'm not mistaken, I forgot to look that up, I think Topalov played a6 and then c5. However, here in this match, game 4, he played this check, so he deviated himself from the early loss in game 2. Yeah, this check, white answers with bishop d2. This is the natural response. Something like knight d2 is answered by c3, and black is winning material. Yeah, this is maybe not 100% clear, but white usually doesn't do that. Just this is fine. And now a5 protects the bishop on b4. Yeah, white needs to take care about this pawn, so he attacks it with queen c2. And now black captures on d2. Yeah, here in this position, which has been played before quite many times already. In this position, white usually recaptures with the queen, and in fact this is what Anand played. Yeah, it's quite strange to move the queen first here and then capture on d2, but it has more than one interesting point. One issue of this move is that black can really hang on to the pawn, and it's very often risky to try to keep the pawn. And in fact here black also is taking some risks, but it is considered that this is a kind of or one form of keeping the pawn that is at least playable for black. So white players always concentrated on queen takes d2, and queen takes d2 has a very interesting tactical point, and this is if black now would try to keep the pawn, just protecting it before it is even attacked, then white has this funny idea, attacking g7 and attacking b5. So queen d2 is also a tactically motivated move. In the game, Topalov played c6, basically preparing this move, and Anand answered with a4, just putting, just trying to make it harder to keep the pawn with a4. However, Topalov anyway played b5. Yeah, and this has been played a number of times before, and interestingly enough, it even featured in the World Championship match in 2006, where Topalov played Kramnik. This is the infamous toilet gate match, where this position had been discussed. So this is a position that certainly both teams had looked, had analyzed in their preparation. However, it seems that here Anand's team has simply a good new idea that Topalov has a hard time dealing with. The new move, instead of taking and queen g5, which immediately gets the pawn back, instead of that Anand played knight a3, and it seems that this move is stronger in comparison. At least it puts much more pressure on black. If you look at a current database of games, you see that b5 is basically out of business nowadays. They all play knight e4, queen somewhere, probably to c2, and then knight d6, for the moment keeping this pawn, and then intending to use this weakened square on b4. This seems to be a quite solid way to play with black. It's probably a bit better for white, but nothing spectacular. But return to the game. b5 was a tried and tested move at the time, and now knight a3. It also doesn't seem like black isn't lost here, or even in super deep trouble. But this position is very tough to play, as we will see quite shortly. What should black do now? It is simply attack this pawn, and you can never really move it. This is the first problem, or at least it's something that you need to calculate concretely each time. Something like b4, knight c4, of course, looks terrible. It's just a very weak position for black, and this knight gets into play, so you almost never can advance the pawn if white is able to recapture on c4. Taking can be an idea, not at the moment, but can be an idea later, to just liquidate the whole queen side. But in general, it is difficult to move the b pawn at any stage, also the c pawn, and this means that you also have a hard time moving the second c pawn, as there's always b5 hanging. So these pawns are basically frozen, and this also means that black has all pieces behind those pawns, and when they cannot advance, it's difficult to make any progress, while white has ways to improve the position. We will see that white has good chances to build up a really strong game. Bishop d7 now is played, which looks like a terrible move, but it's probably the only one that you can really play. Bishop a6 looks more normal, but look at this. And white gets the piece back with a very nice position. At the end, black suffers from two weaknesses, and white has this fantastic bishop. So clear edge for white. Bishop d7, this ugly move is probably forced. And this is also a bit strange, at least in my book. why Topalov would willingly go for this position. I mean, if you play this line with b5, and he repeated a line that he had played in a World Championship match before, you know that Anand should have something prepared. And to be honest, if you look at this position after knight a3 and bishop b7, I mean, in my point of view, you just stop the analysis because it looks like crap. But okay, he decided to go for that, and we'll see that it's not that clear, but I would definitely prefer to be white here. Okay, knight e5. This is a strong post on e5, and knight d5 to keep this diagonal closed. Also, this might be a square for the knight. Yeah, here we go. White takes the center and secures the king. Yeah, black also castles. Hard to suggest other moves. You can try other setups with black's pieces. I mean, but you can hardly do without castling. And here rook fd1, strengthening the position, and also preparing the general strategical breakthrough here. And this is d4 and e5. White tries to open up the d file and the center to get this bishop involved and to use the better piece coordination. It's simply that white already is able to connect rooks. It's got a good square for the queen, which can also be improved, swinging over to the king side. And black is not really able to set up any threats or active play. He is basically doomed to such passive moves. Bishop e8 doesn't look like great, but what should black do? Let's say knight 8 to a6. Yeah, normal move, trying to get this piece out. Yeah, then d5, and black is completely falling apart here. Let's say takes, just for argument's sake. What should black do now? And resigns. This really loses the house. Or for example, this move. You can more than one good move, but this is strong. Attacking the rook. Pressure here. This is also a threat. So it's very hard to even keep the position from crumbling down immediately. Black probably needs to do something like that. And this is yeah, almost lost. Knight 8 to a6 is not working at all. But what should you do? Bishop e8, as mentioned, is the move that he played. Can they consider queen e7, trying to connect rooks? But after queen e3, the threat is renewed. The idea is to have the knight protected after d5, ed, ed5, and here also black has a hard time to defend. What should he do? There are all kinds of tricks already in the position. Let's say queen moves again. You need to reckon with tactical moves. This is not working yet. Sorry, but this is. Well, it's always this combination of pressure against b5 and the central breakthrough, where here there's also substantial pressure created. It's very interesting to see how effective this knight on a3 is. It just has this annoying pressure against the queen side. It covers this square, and once black moves any pawn, the c pawn, the b pawn, the knight will get into play, and it's very difficult for black to, in the long run, not move any of those pawns when this breakthrough is engineered. So in the game you played this move, bishop e8. It's not looking great, but it's hard to suggest anything else. Yeah, and still, of course, d5. No need to hesitate here. White needs to use his superior development and superior centralized position. So opening up with d5 is just the right way to go. Yeah, queen d6 was played, attacking the bishop, the knight. I'm sorry, attacking the knight, and yeah, here there's already an interesting choice. Anand played the good move knight g4. There also was d takes c6 that you could consider. Queen takes e5 and a takes b5. This is quite interesting. It looks like white has excellent compensation for the piece, and this is probably true, especially if black fails to recognize the urgency of matters here. Black's only move is just to return the piece, something like that. It's not so clear how he should return the piece, but he needs to. Something like that, for example. And this position is somewhat better for white. He just has the somewhat better coordinated pieces. Rook already here. Good knight, this e5, opening up the diagonal, and the main issue is that a5 is just the weaker pawn in comparison to b2. So this was a good alternative, this temporary piece sacrifice. But Anand's move is good. It's simply a good and strong move, where the knight can also go here. In fact, after queen c5, knight e3, exactly that happened. And this is a nicely positioned piece. It controls d5, always making sure that any captures are nicely covered. And it's also an active piece in regards still to the king, as we will see later. Yeah, knight to a6 was played, and yeah, black at some point needs to do that. How is he ever going to move this knight? We see that this move basically involves an opening of the queen side, but there already wasn't much choice. White now took, and this means that this configuration now will resolve. Black takes on a4. Yeah, he could have also taken here, but after this line, this is a good move. White has clearly the better chances. Those knights are not nicely coordinated, and there's still the weak a5 pawn, e5, the bishop. So white has a number of positive features here. He took on a4, and the a knight took on c4. So this is basically the triumph of this knight going to the side of the board, and now black at the end was forced to capture and allow the knight back into play. Yeah, bishop takes, and now rook c1. So we have a position where black at the moment enjoys one extra pawn here on a4, but white has excellent pieces. Those knights, the rooks are on the open files, and yeah, it's a very harmonious build-up for white. What should black do now? The next move I found at the time very surprising, and I'm still a bit surprised that Topalov played this, because I think for a player of his level it was pretty apparent what this move is doing. I mean, he played h6 here, and okay, this creates some room for the king, so that back rank mates are no issue anymore. But still, this is a weakening of the king side, and we will see the following line, which is very convincing, I think. Of course, it's already a difficult position to defend. Let's say he won't do that. Yeah, let's say rook b8, like a move to improve slightly. Then white has this idea, knight d6 and queen a7, then this kind of idea. It's e5. Yeah, white has an attack, but still there's not knight takes h6 check. And look at the game. He played h6, knight d6, queen moved back, and knight g4. And now, yeah, well, everybody and their uncle is seeing that knight takes h6. Yeah, will be very dangerous because, well, what are those pieces doing besides not defending the king? And yeah, now it gets very, very, very critical. Probably it's not possible anymore to defend this position. Topalov played rook to d8, and yeah, what else is there? You could consider f6, trying to use the queen here, which amongst others can be answered by e5, which is an interesting decision. Takes, and f5, and even then white can sacrifice, simply because those knights are not playing at all. They are just dead pieces. This is a fantastic piece on d6, and white also has this rook lift threatened, and of course just the direct threat is queen takes e6, which means that something like queen g7 is not really working. Yeah, it gets very ugly. Something like that is a disaster. White is basically attacking with all pieces while those knights are offside. Yeah, he played rook d8, and now okay.
Check.
Of course. And this is why h6 really I didn't really get this move, because I mean, what's so difficult to calculate here? Knight d6, you need to return, and now it's clear that he will sack on h6. I mean, maybe Topalov thought he was in deep trouble anyway, and he wanted to provoke this material sacrifice to yeah, somehow yeah, get a murkier position than in other lines where white maybe just has a good position but has not sacrificed. But we will see that black's position is already beyond saving here. White's a big threat here is the move e5 in connection with rook c4 g4 mate, and this means that black quickly needs to organize something along the 7th rank, that you need the queen over here to defend. Some pieces need to defend. The knights are just standing here on the edge on the board and do nothing. He played f6 to make this possible, but now the next move is very important. It's not terribly difficult to find, but it makes the whole thing, yeah, work perfectly together. Anand played the good move e5, opening up this diagonal, and more importantly, getting this idea into play, or rook c4 to g4. It just opens up the 4th rank and also cuts the board in two, this move, e5. Yeah, an important tactical point is what happens after bishop takes g2. Okay, you can say, well, I recapture, but this is not really working. After queen g7, what exactly is white's move? He has an attack, that's clear, but he doesn't have a decisive blow. Instead, after this capture on g2, white has a much stronger move, and maybe this is what Topalov had overlooked. It's possible. White has this intermediate move, e takes f6, and this is much stronger. It just ignores the bishop on g2. White does not really need to recapture that. And yeah, how to defend here is black. It's already beyond saving. One additional idea here now is queen g6 and f7. For instance, let's say I move like that.
Check.
and black has no way to save himself. Queen h6 mate. You need to play something like rook takes f7, and this only delays mate for 3 moves. This is the new threat introduced by the appearance of the pawn on f6. He played rook take d6, getting rid of the knight, but white can simply recapture and keeps all the attacking ideas intact. Bishop e4, and he just took on e6. Yeah, this is another idea. White is just having a decisive attack. Knight d3, last try, threatening queen takes f2 mate, so always need to be cautious till the end. White can just cover this, the easiest move. Queen h7, and now
check.
f7 was played, and did he resign already? I didn't, but okay, this is a decisive move. After rook takes,
check.
There's this mate.
Checkmate.
So queen takes was played, and now he just took the bishop with this threat again in the position. Queen here, rook e7, and now Topalov resigned. Yeah, this was, I think, Anand's probably most convincing game from this World Championship match. As mentioned, he also won the final game and the decisive game, but this was probably the most aesthetic win. And also, I really like this concept of knight a3. This is just interesting to use the knight on the edge of the board. We can see that this knight really served a very clear purpose in contrast to black's knights here on a6 and b4. Those pieces were mostly spectators, while white was preparing the decisive attack on the king side. This is in fact a phenomenon that is happening rather often. You have big pressure on one side of the board, and this somehow ties up the defending pieces, and then when you have more space on the board, like here, white enjoys a space advantage and a better mobilization of his forces, then you can more quickly shift your pieces over to the other side and land the decisive blow on the other side. This especially happens with the king. Yeah, white has this big I cannot draw arrows. White has all this pressure on the queen side and on the center, and this has lured all pieces to the queen side, and we see how quickly white now with the knights
check
gets to the decisive attack against the king. So a very nice win by Anand, and this also shows an important quality of Anand's play. He is able to play really excellent chess under pressure in these absolutely decisive situations in World Championship matches, while Carlsen really has no match experience at all. And he's played some kind of 2-game mini matches or 4-game mini matches some years ago, but this is not compared to the 12-game World Championship format, where there's simply much higher tension. So Anand's experience under pressure will certainly be an important factor. And also we saw that here knight a3 was a good novelty. So Anand always had a good team of seconds, and we will see how this is working out this time, because he is not working in this match with Peter Heine Nielsen, his longtime second, and also I think Kazimjanov is not in his team anymore. So it's a bit different. All right, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye.